Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another Indie Comics Talk. Happy New Comic Book Day. We've got a special guest on tonight to talk about an awesome Kickstarter that they've got going on. And he's a return guest. He was on here before to talk about the Volume 1 of Scott Snyder's Presents Tales from the Cloakroom. We've got Solis. Welcome in.
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk about this book. Looks amazing. I got to check it out. Thanks for sending that over so I could see everything. I mean, I already saw Lane Lloyd's artwork on it.
It's completely recognizable as soon as you see Lane's stuff.
Yes.
But it sold me when I started reading his things. He had one story in Tales from the Cloakroom. Didn't really get me then, but when I started following him on Twitter, just opened up so many doors of like, oh man, that would work great. Oh, this would be beautiful. And sure enough, I sent him over the script and a couple pitches, and next thing I knew, I had a whole book of art, and it's blown me away ever since.
Yeah, I remember the one from the Tales from the Cloakroom, like just distinctive art.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I'm working on him on this like fantasy story. I'm like, all right, you said fantasy and
fantasy comedy is just for Lloyd, it rolls right out of there, and I had hardly any. Ran with everything. It was great. Can't wait to work on the next couple books with him, which hopefully this Kickstarter will back.
Now you're cutting a little in and out.
Oh no. I know I have my internet set up for fast, but sometimes once we get going.
Yeah. It's okay. What was that last bit?
Just that Lane Lloyd had took it all on himself to really focus the story, give us the art that we needed, and it was pretty smooth the whole time working with them. It was great.
Awesome. So what is, I guess, the elevator pitch of A Flag to Fly?
Right on. So in a troubled island, a fictitious island, almost like Westeros or England in some sites, there's a king that's now, after years of being abroad and battling, is kind of losing his mind and has slowly turned on his people. And we find ourselves, one of the knight commanders is now reaching out to people to try to start basically a revolution. And in that, the troubles of finding leadership in such a troubled time, and really trying to focus on somebody that could lead people and bring them up to actually challenge the king and his crazy army. And just that alone, especially in our times right now, it's pretty topical. Finding leadership isn't exactly the easiest thing to do. People you believe in, and sometimes it's kind of, you got to believe in yourself making those choices, and that's plays a lot into the story. And it's really fun. A lot of comedy, a lot of wackiness. It's laid out to be kind of a YA story, but it shoots over heads. So kind of like Tolkien with The Hobbit. It's a whole world built behind it, but told kind of just to the easiest passerby. It's really nice.
Yeah. So with developing really a whole new fantasy world here, what did you do in the process there? Did you like sit down and write out a whole like Silmarillion talking about the whole world, or did you focus on the main story, and as you're writing that story think, okay, well, that is happening because this is going on in this part of the world over here?
A lot of the latter. A lot of stuff was focused on just trying to get the characters developed. It's a very character driven story.
Yeah.
So a lot of the background stuff comes, they'd be this deep into everything, and it rolled right out. Though every time I had to come up with a backstory, the king, Shin, the sorcerer, everything just kind of seemed like it was already there, ready to be plucked out. And it worked more and more. I started working with Aubrey Lynn Jepson, my editor, and she gave me a lot of focus for my themes and a lot of the leadership kind of things that should be focused on, what I should include, and that blew me away. It got me right on track to find everything I needed. And yeah, I'm super excited for this whole series to come out. And this number one of six
Okay.
is a nice little just kind of introduction to everything, gets us all nice and started up, but
Yeah.
then really lays into some action and lets you know exactly where we're headed with it.
I can see going forward, the comedy side definitely leaned into even more without spoiling what happens, but I can see things getting like a lot of situational comedy. I
Definitely.
can see happening.
There's
It's already popping up.
it's such a character driven little script that it relies so much on that, but with like so much going forward, I want to open up even more the fantasy background to it. There's actually, Shin does a little bit of magic in the opener, but later on we are introduced to different elements and places that have actual like full on ogres and fun stuff to really delve into.
So a little bit of
Yeah.
inspiration, like you said, a little Game of Thrones, a little bit of Lord of the Rings, a little bit of all
Sword in the
these different.
Stone, a lot of those really stereotypical fantasy kind of toe
Yeah,
dips of when we all were young got into these things. But I also wanted to flip that on its head. So we're looking for leadership, and it's a scatter shot. Everybody's kind of
yeah,
up in the air about who they want to believe in and what we want to do. So in that, it's not just the chosen one. We need to believe
right.
in Leong. We need to believe in Bach. It's just who could possibly lead us all, and
There is
that's
there's no
great.
chosen one here.
Yeah, nope.
No
Definitely no.
prophecy, nothing of the sort. Are there any fantasy comics that you like lean into and like to read or pull inspiration from?
I've got my heavy start with Sandman. So in that building
Okay.
mythology was just everywhere. And then Fables I dip into every so often just to get some inspiration. I just finished Side Quest, Kickstarter that just finished. It's number 5. And that was immensely inspirational, just how well it's transferred back and forth of
Okay.
almost real life goings with fantasy. And it's nice to ride that line. It's nice to see those things.
Now I'm now I'm curious about that one.
You should definitely check it out. I got
'Cause
it
I
on the
don't know if
last
I've
one
ever
and got
come
the whole
across that.
background. Yep.
Interesting. I just pulled up. I was just like, okay, yep.
Yep.
No, you got a talking turtle on the front page. All right.
Exactly. A
I'll
lot of
have to
fun
look
stuff
into
in
that
that.
later.
Yeah.
Because fantasy for me is like it's just such a good genre. Because one, we all need a little escapism from the world.
Definitely.
So going into a whole new world, learning the lore, what's happening in that world is always a fun
It's a
time.
beautiful escape. It's beautiful not focus you have in front of you, but also kind of ride that line, dark fantasy and all the rest of it. I love getting into those things. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's just the different stories that can be told through fantasy are magic, to say the least.
very very well done there. Speaking of magic, is there any magical elements to this fantasy world, or is it more like fantasy based off of medieval times, kind of?
I wanted it to be soft fantasy, which is soft
Okay.
magic is a nice term for a lot of people where they just have magic in the background. And that's what I like. I like it to
Yeah.
be magical, but that's not the focus of the story. The focus of the story is the characters that
Yeah.
eventually, yeah, they have to deal with a little bit of magic, a little bit of alchemy, and it goes real haywire for a second, but then helps them tremendously. Those kind of things are
Yeah.
just exactly like technology. If you're done sparingly, it helps you tremendously. If you do it too much, it's devastating.
Yeah. Because I know we have our sorcerer in this story,
Yep.
but you don't really see a lot of magic going on. So my thought is, was it one of those people from back in that time who went by sorcerer, but they didn't do any actual magic, or was
And the
it
thing that kind
he
of
can
was
do
the
magic, but doesn't it's not like the big bad magic, the like save the world type of get out of any
right,
situation magic.
exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted to show that yeah, he does actually the opening of the book shows Shin making a potion and doing all these crazy magical things. But later on there's hardly any of that. But I wanted that established early because
Mhm.
that does go into things later on where
Yeah,
magic does play a nice little tech, but it's not like I said, the focus, I guess, of the story to find those magical objects or to get to that magical space. It's just and they live with it and they love it just like
yeah.
we do.
So writing this story, was your focus on I want to write a fantasy story, and then you kind of figured out what you wanted to do with the characters and the leadership piece? Or did you start more with I wanna write a story about leadership, and let me put this in a fantasy world because I love fantasy?
Definitely the latter. I
Okay.
started watching Game of Thrones. The Red Wedding actually was a huge inspiration of just they chose Rob Stark because he was there, and that bugged me. Like I know
Yeah,
he turned out to be a great leader and all the rest of the stuff that they pushed him to be, but in that it was like how is that any kind of guarantee just because he has the last name? And that sent me down
yeah.
this whole path of just fantasy and what it means to be a birthright,
So,
which we see play out horribly throughout all of history when they get to their third
yeah.
generation or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because not everybody wants to follow in the footsteps of their parents and wants to take over the royal family, or
Yep.
we see that playing out in life too.
Yep. Exactly.
The in England, they said, "No,
Yeah.
we're gonna
They're
leave
out.
and go to America."
It
Uh,
happens,
yeah,
people that are thrusted upon leadership and everything. And we have all these stories where we eventually reluctantly accept it. But, what happens when nobody wants to be that? What happens when we
right.
really need something to happen to make somebody decide to do that? That's what this kind
Yeah.
of story falls with. And it's good.
Yeah, so that they don't always wanna go in leadership, they wanna go. I don't even know what you could do in a fantasy world
They
anymore, but
They just wanna lead their own lives,
wanna
and
go be
so
a
much of us
baker.
want that too, just to be left alone, not have to work, just do what we
Right.
wanna do, and it's so much people wanted that, but instead we're
Yeah.
made to march towards whatever enemy they were propagated and against, and
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff is now ingrained in us with our fantasy and the wars and stuff, but
Oh, yeah.
sometimes a good character can really, really take your breath away.
So let's spend some time talking about what's going on the Kickstarter. I
Yeah,
dropped the link in the chat for anyone watching live, but it's also down in the description if you're watching this later. Um,
beautiful. Yeah, we're
we're
about 40% funded right now, so we're almost
we're
looking at 50, getting there.
about 40% through the campaign or so.
43%, I believe, is the
Okay,
last I saw. Yep.
43% with 43 backers. We're just going.
It's been exactly that neck and neck pretty well. I've been happy. But more and more
Yeah,
I see those days tick down and it just gets a little bit more nerve wracking, as
yeah.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
everybody's had.
yeah. Kickstarter right now, I feel like there's a lot of people are scared that the campaigns aren't going to fund because there's a lot of campaigns right now because the direct market's a scary place too.
Yep. All of that Luna and
Uh,
fun stuff, but still the best place to ever back creators and everything is just directly from them.
yeah,
And we
I
get
mean,
so many great books from this Kickstarter, Indiegogo. I've read so many great ones. It's
yeah,
amazing
and
to see so many people start off
got that nice project we love Kickstarter badge there.
flying that real high because that blew me away. I didn't think, like, I know Lane brings people and that
Yeah,
artwork is definitely distinguishable, but just to have that kind of validation of like, oh, people are watching it at least is great. It's amazing.
yeah, uh, yeah. Like you said, it's a good flag to fly there,
Exactly.
right?
Nicely
uh,
done.
yeah,
Hmm.
So of course, I was going to scroll down to some of the samples, some covers, because people like to see what's going on within it, and
Yep.
not just hear this what the story is about, but get that visual look at it.
Definitely.
Um,
I know, guys, it's always a project that brings a lot of people together, comic books, and I love that. So
yeah,
adds up. It's definitely not just me.
yeah, but yeah, like we were talking about, Lane Lloyd's art is it's perfect for fantasy.
It really
Uh,
does amazing things. Yeah.
So did you guys connect through the fact that Lane was part of the Cloakroom anthology, or was it just kind of you hit Lane up and said,
Only
"You really think
initially,
your art would be awesome"?
I started following them on Twitter after everything was posted and we started the campaign for volume 1 of Tales from the Cloakroom. But
Mhm,
after that, of course, seeing all the posts and art that he does, it was easy to just, hey, I got this thing I'd like to pitch you.
mhm.
And from there, just started the ball rolling back and forth. And next, all of this came about it. Um, the letterer, Dave Lentz, is actually somebody I talked to about this story probably about 4 years ago. He was one of
Yeah.
the very first people I even like talked to ever on Facebook about wanting to make comics, and
Okay.
was really quick about, yeah, you should be making them. Everybody can, everybody should. You just have to try to do the best you can, make it
Yeah.
great, and make it quick. And he's been a huge inspiration for that. Even though I took my sweet time about it, finding Lane was the push over the edge I needed.
Yeah.
But as you can see, all his lettering is adds another whole little layer of art to it, and it does great. And it's been amazing working with all of them.
Yeah. I mean, you were getting into a little Twitter war with some other people over Dave.
Ruben the writer, yeah, they picked him up pretty much as soon as I was done talking to him the first time about this, and
Yeah.
Dave was doing Illusion Witch. Jumped on
Yep.
that, and that's been a nice little back and forth. He's really great though.
Yeah. No, and then I think Dave's on Grandma Chainsaw, maybe Pocus Hocus too, with
Yep. And then I know,
Alan. And Alan was just on last week, and we're like
oh,
that
nice.
came up, and we're like, oh yeah, oh,
Yep.
there's
Yep.
3 projects that I talked to the creators that you guys are all gonna be like,
I
Dave,
follow
come
the
on.
most is Good Boy. Dave Lentz does lettering on Good Boy, and
Oh
that's
yeah, yeah.
really great.
He does a lot of source point stuff then,
Yeah, he does.
probably. Okay. That's yeah. So I mean, that's a good that you guys kind of connected early and had him there kind of
Yeah,
clear out to pop in and help
huge
out with
benefit.
writers.
And as soon as I had the artist, I was like, okay, I'm going back to Dave. There's no question about who else I want to do this for me. So
Right.
he had the time and was very gracious. Walked through it with me, and we got it all laid out to be this good.
Yeah. I'll say one thing I really love, uh, I gotta know whose idea it was. The background not just being white, but being that parchment look.
That was a combination Lane and Dave.
Okay.
Lane had it just kind of bare, non-parchment, but that tan kind of color, and then
Yeah.
Dave added the parchment feeling to it. It brought it all just amazing. I love that fantasy feel, like you're
Yeah.
unfolding a map.
Oh yeah. That it just adds that extra, like the art already pulls you into that fantasy world, but the comics a whole experience. It's not just
Right?
the art, it's
It,
not just the words, it's not just the story, but what you're holding.
exactly. Little
Those little
temporal portal to another time, another
yeah,
place. It's great.
those little details I always love.
Yeah.
So you also have some variant artists on here.
Correct.
Zoom in a little bit.
3 amazing covers, 3 amazing artists. Lane does cover A, interior artist Lane,
Mhm.
and then Rachel Disler, who I also met through Twitter, just kind
Mhm.
of poking around. She was looking for work one time, and I got her to do a pinup for me of my volume 1 character. And from
Nice.
that, we've become really great friends. She loves this story, and it's been really great working with her just to do anything. So she was the first one that I asked to do a variant cover, and she blew that away. So that's great. Um, Terry, or Maria Teresa Suska, is the cover
Mhm.
C artist, and I really got to talking to her through Aubrey Lynn Jepson, our editor.
Okay.
They're kind of working on a story together. I'm not sure exactly where that's at in the process, but they saw them go back and forth, and then got more into Terry's art and how many different covers she's done, and it's amazing. So it was kind of a dream to think of if I had the budget to get them to do anything, and luckily I scraped it
Yeah.
all together, and they are beautiful, beautiful covers.
Yeah. And they all again fit that fantasy vibe. This feels a lot more you said Sword in the Stone.
Yeah.
Literally right there going on.
A little bit, yep, exactly. Just that little extra bit of hamsters and seagulls with hats, some little fun background stuff that we also
Yeah.
work into the comic book.
Yep. Um Hopefully we get to see what these are later.
I'm
So
really hoping to, because
that
the
support.
first one's gonna be really great. The second one's a little bit of additions, and I got it all planned out. And just
Yeah.
waiting to see if we actually get to
Get the
pull it.
head there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did have the early birds; those are done,
Yep.
sadly.
No more early birds.
Yep.
Sorry, folks, you missed it.
Mhm.
But you can still get all the amazing regular things going on in this with
Correct. So
and
you could use as add-ons, or they have their own tiers.
mhm. I was gonna
Um,
say the one thing also, I've seen far too many books that are like $25 like for a single issue on
Yeah.
Kickstarter. So anytime I see anyone that's like anywhere between $5 and $15, I'm like, you've hit the right price point.
Having to
Like,
put it possible, but also wanting something of substance. So I really appreciate you
yeah.
saying that because I wanted something $5. But the more I try to do those numbers and try to get more people on it, it's like, I could probably go for 12 to 15. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the pricing thing's always the hardest to
It is
figure out, right?
because it
Because
can drive people away or it can really reel them in. It's really hard to say
yeah,
exactly where they'll fall in the spectrum.
right. And then with Kickstarter, you're one, it's not just about buying a comic.
No.
It's about creating the comic, and it's usually well, most of the time the stuff I get from Kickstarters is that higher quality than you're gonna pick up from even Marvel on the shelf. Like Marvel, you pick it up and you're like, and the paper melted in my hands.
Sometimes, especially with those special edition things, that just roll right out. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I went and found people that already the editors from Tales of the Cloakroom Volume One were looking at for when they printed, and I got a
Mhm.
lot of those backings. So I started talking to Comic Impressions, which I mentioned in the Kickstarters, who were going to be used for printing, and they do amazing work,
Nice.
really quality stuff. Then
Yeah,
also the stickers we have going together are just gonna,
go back to the
I
stickers.
did
Here we go. Oh, he
quality will be there. You
cut
go.
out
There's the
there.
sticker rooms. There you go.
Oh, I think you're back.
Back. Here we go. A lot of
Yeah.
quality vendors that we used, and yeah, got a lot of great stuff coming.
Yeah. Lots of Lane's artwork there.
Definitely, always
Mm.
fun, distinguishable.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I actually have something in my inbox I have to check out. Something else that Lane did recently. Um, what was that?
The Grandma Mech, or
Yes. Oh gosh, my I'm really bad at email, but I did pull up Lane's before. Grandma Tilly's Hell
yeah,
Tech Mech. Yes.
that one looks really great.
Yeah.
It's the miniseries that's coming out soon.
Yeah. So when I saw Lane post about that, I was like, all right, I gotta check this out and write something up for it because that looks awesome. Fit that into,
Be
the ever.
amazing, and especially Lane putting that magic touches on those. I'm really happy to get snuck in there with him doing that. I got all this and done. It's
Yeah.
great.
Um, but yeah, I mean the lots of stuff going on here. The other things on here, the rewards. We talked about each of the covers are no matter which cover you want, it's the same price.
Same price for sure.
Yeah, you can get the sticker set for a little bit more.
Yep. And then prints of the covers, little 5x7s for just a little
Yeah,
bit more of that. You also get the stickers in that. Then,
yeah,
what else?
Bannerman, all of them.
Yep. You
Uh,
get all the physical covers of the copies.
hmm
Then there's the Lord Bannerman where I sign each of the covers.
and get it all.
Yeah.
And then the Lord Collector.
That's the great one. That's the signed one. Sorry. Yeah. But that gets you everything along with the 5x7s, the stickers, all the physical books.
Get them
Every
all.
one of these tiers gets your name in the thank you credits, no matter what you do, if it's $1 or all the way up to the 320 ones.
Which I always found curious. Like some people like hide the you don't get thanked unless you provide X amount of support.
That kind of I'm happy for anybody
I'm like,
to be
yeah,
looking at this
huh,
thing. Yeah, thank
yeah. If
you.
I was doing a Kickstarter, I'd be like, you gave me a penny, which I don't. You can't give a
Thank
penny,
you.
but like,
Yeah,
thank you. You gave
exactly.
any amount of support.
We've gotten like 3 that are just $1, and I'm still completely thankful for that.
Yeah,
Jesus. Yeah,
I I think every dollar helps
every dollar
push
helps.
it towards the goal, and I think that does something with Kickstarter's algorithms and things where it's like, hey, we've got people supporting
Yeah, all right.
numbers,
Just
numbers
slowly
wise.
bringing in. We'll show you again for sure.
Yeah. And then if you want to be a character,
Yep, our character tier. Actually, we only have one of those left. So if you want it, you better
Yeah.
act fast. We've already sold two of those. It's really great. We have, of course, a 6 issue miniseries. So if you want to be in number 2 or 3 as a Lane Lloyd drawn caricature of yourself with a pet, if you'd like, you
Wish
can
so.
definitely buy that tier and get into a Flag to Fly.
I think that's always a fun tier,
I
especially if
love
you're.
those when you get to see yourself in
Yeah,
the art that you're kind of backing already.
yeah.
Great.
I've done before. I started doing as many campaigns as I back. I did some of those, but now I can't afford to do that with the
It,
number that I back. So I love it.
yeah.
I'm gonna be in Travis Gibbs' expired number 2
Oh, nice.
as a character named Sparks. Um,
Perfect.
Appropriately, he's like a demolition expert.
Oh, you
Which
lined
I
it
was like, that's just
perfectly up. All right.
it fits so good. So I'm excited. And I've been a background character in something else.
Yeah, I've seen that everywhere, and I love just those little nods to people and places that
Yeah,
come through and background art. That's great too. But I like when you can be on a full on character. It's another thing. It actually kind of
yeah,
lights you up.
yeah. And then I think this the last one. Nope, there's two
No,
more.
we actually have two more because I added an extra one at the end. But this one is the
Aubrey.
yeah Aubrey's 2 time editing sessions. When you purchase that tier, you get a chance to form your own comic. And if you're a creator, you take her your script and she'll give you 2 rounds of editing, whether or not you're looking for an artist or not. She can also point you in that direction. She did Shelley Bond's editing course along with me. Actually, she's done it twice now, but that was a huge inspiration to her. And now she's getting into more into editing. And working with her was a marvelous experience. I've loved it
Yeah,
every time I've done it. This and Tales from the Cloakroom. I've also hired her as a letterer in my Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 2 story with
yep.
Alyssa Mayer. So that's awesome, and
And
she's
I think she
great to
was.
work with. And I wanted to try to pass that along to anybody else who's chasing that dream, making comic books.
Yeah, I think she was a letter for Ari on
Yeah, Awakening. You're right.
Awakening. Yeah,
Yeah, he's been
yeah.
getting a lot of that
So
work, and it's been doing really great
all
at
of
it.
you guys from that
Yeah,
that
Tales from the Cloakroom.
Tales from the Cloakroom are
We
sticking
found
together.
people that were all wanting to work towards the same kind of thing, and that it's the biggest step you got to take. Like
Yeah,
being your
find
own
your
little
people.
world and making your own stories is great, but once you find the people that are all chasing that dream, it really kind of inspires you just to make it as great as you can. And
Yeah,
they're all amazing people, great friends. It's fun to talk to these people about more
yeah.
creations.
From like what I've heard from other creators is it's almost like you get these like almost like classes of creators coming in, right? Like
Yeah,
you guys are
yeah,
the what 2022 class of creators coming in, we'll say, because it was
exactly.
last year.
I even just like Scott Snyder talking about his experience rising up and everybody the message boards. You have this each generation finds their people and they inspire each other to push each other and then also to pull each other up. The
Right.
next comic we make, we're also talking about each other and hey, you should check them out. So it's helpful.
Yeah.
It's really great.
No, it's good to see that. And you see that you guys interacting on Twitter and reposting each other's stuff and like talking about
Definitely.
each other's stuff, and it's cool to see that's that support out there in the indie comics community.
Yeah, like it's different in a lot of places in the indie comics community, especially when I found Twitter. But it's nice to have that whole little niche, Scott Snyder's class, to really kind of
Yeah,
pull us all together. It was great.
yeah, absolutely.
Which I'll also plug that Scott still has his class able to be signed up for, or in writing class 102, I think right now. So I think he's
Yeah.
barely getting onto his second class of the year. But yeah, that's also a great thing to do.
If I not mistaken, I think I heard the whole first year, the 101 is archived, and you can go
Archive
back
that you,
and watch
yep,
and learn
definitely. And
from it.
each step he takes is something just to note on your journey as you create your own thing of how it should be done, but just a general view of each step in the process, each thing you should be paying attention to. It's really been great,
Yeah.
even for things that I already learned, like through books and all the things that I did by myself, understanding Scott McCloud, all those books. It's great stuff. But just having the little community aspect to it was a huge jump ahead. Scott bringing everybody together was Gold.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, it's always good to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I still got one last tier on there, which just
Yeah.
got added. Rachel Disler, the cover B artist, has donated some time and has decided to do two commission work pieces for that tier. So you get all of our copies, all of them signed, stickers, 5x7s, but you also get the commission work of Rachel Disler, which you get to put
Yeah.
in your preference or your imaginative thought of what you want commissioned. But if not, you can also get just the flag to fly characters. That's okay too.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
And there's two slots there, so
Yep. Still open. Still good.
yeah. I mean, I feel like the commission tiers are always like take advantage of that on a Kickstarter because it's sometimes cheaper than you're gonna go grab it at
Yep.
a convention or non-convention time period.
A lot. Yeah.
Um,
And of course, as you can see by the cover, Rachel is amazing. Definitely on her way up. She's working more and more. Nightcrawlers is a book that she has out right now that she's working on real wholeheartedly, and that's a great little book. So
yeah,
I checked that out.
awesome.
Yeah.
So that is the campaign side of things. So let me drop the link one more time for anyone out there watching live. But again, if you're watching later, down there in the description. I know everyone can't watch live. I feel like post COVID quarantine and everything, fewer people watch live, more people watch later.
Yep.
So
It definitely happens,
like
especially when we all had nothing but time to kill in front of a screen. I was like, yeah, I can watch this right
yeah,
now.
yeah. Oh, it's like 1 a.m. Yeah, I'll watch YouTube live.
Sure.
It's 4 p.m. Sure, why not?
Perfect. Yeah.
I should be working. Nah,
I'm
no
not wearing
good.
pants. It's fine. Let's just
Yeah.
put it on.
So yeah, so watching later, go check out the link down below, and you can get over to the Kickstarter and
Yeah, please.
push this to its goal. And it's not a super high goal. Some I know are a lot higher, so
Yeah, definitely try to
I
keep it
think we can
low,
hit
try to
that.
keep it nice with 3 covers, a sticker set, and all the rest of the things that I made sure to pay these artists for because
Right.
definitely they deserve it, the work that's been put in. But yeah, it's great to have it all ready to go. It's one
Yeah.
of the biggest things I wanted to do before I ever started to launch this Kickstarter was have ready that no matter who asked, this is it. And it may be the first issue of 6, but it's at least that first issue's
Lost the last part of it, but I think you said as long as you got that first one done and ready to go on that first Kickstarter, you're like, all right, let's do it.
correct. Ready to go to print.
Yeah.
That's what a flag to fly #1 is, and we're just looking to push all the rest of them up. That's be great.
Yeah. So that's the other thing, with Kickstarters, some of them you see are like, oh, well, it's going to be 6 more months before we finish this. And then we're going to send it out to you maybe a couple more months later because we are shipping them from overseas to
Yep.
here to send them to you.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, because you said Comics Impressions,
Comic Impressions. Yeah.
which is in the US, I think, right? Or
Correct. Yes.
Canada?
They're
Okay.
I
US.
think they're East Coast. I forget where exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Still, yeah. I mean,
Is
there's
that
still some of the shipping stuff troubles, but not hardly as much.
Yeah.
And I try to take that into consideration. September is when we're trying to look everything delivered by, so that should be
Yeah.
nice and steady, not too long out. I also get people hyped for #2 because that'll be right into production as soon as this campaign says it's done and funded.
Yeah. Get the money, pay for the stuff,
Pay for the printing and then
hopefully
pay
get a
Lloyd.
little bit more and
Yeah,
pay
exactly.
for the next round of art.
Correct.
Yeah. No, that's for everyone I've talked to with Kickstarters, it's always that strategy of make enough money to fund the next project or to start to fund the next project so that you
Exactly.
can hit the ground running with it and keep on
That's
having
the
fun.
addiction of making comics. You just want to make kind of the next one.
Yeah. And then you're like, if I get a few extra bucks for myself,
Hey,
cool.
right?
I made it.
That's it. Exactly.
But if I put it all back into the next project, I just want to create.
I think that's still considered a professional. Perfectly.
Right. Right. And then you've got a story that eventually you can put into a trade and
Yeah.
and then you don't have to pay for new art unless you get a new cover or anything,
Yeah,
and which
that's always a
everyone
plus.
always ends up getting a new cover.
Yep, of course. But yeah, that
And
is
then
the dream. Having 6 issues, it's perfectly amount for a trade paperback. So that will
yes,
be the dream after all these get done. And even if they're not funded through Kickstarter, I'll take it around and see if I can still do it somewhere.
yeah,
Really want.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, Something we were talking about before you came on. Tales from the Cloakroom is getting a volume 2, and you are going to be in that volume as well. Are
That
we sticking with the cloak theme? Like everyone's gotta be having a jacket as part of the story?
we went a little looser with the themes and motifs of like having to stick with just outerwear, but like mine deals with a book jacket. So
Okay.
that right there is how kind of far they've gone
Okay.
with it. But still, the wide variety of creators, wide variety of artists, all coming together to make really indie feeling stories with
Yeah.
real emotional impacts, real great. It's pretty great. It's a whole new set of editors. It's a whole new set of creators for the most part. A couple of us came back. I pitched early on because Logan was one of the first people to ask me of how we got into the first one, and told him
Mhm.
exactly you just kind of do it by yourself if
Just
you want it done.
make it.
Yep, make it. And he did.
Yeah.
And he went out and he found other editors and they brought it all together. And it wasn't for a while that I decided, all right, let me also pitch a story to this. And then through that, got accepted. So then I hit up Alyssa Meyer, who did
Yeah.
watercolors and a lot of amazing, like actual uh,
Yeah.
real art, I guess, like, for a better a lack of a better term. But her and Aubrey, I got to do lettering, and just working in that team was kind of a dream team that I had since Tale Tales Volume One. It
Yeah.
was they such amazing people to work with, and they all have their own expressions through their art that's magical. And I have so many other stories that I'd like to create with them. So this was a great just test of how well do we work together. And
Right.
everything came together great,
Uh,
and
uh,
I can't wait to show everybody that one.
Alyssa's artwork's really good.
Really good, really
Like
good. Just
she had 2 stories in the first one, right? One was
correct.
her own and one was with someone else,
Yes,
I
I
think.
can't remember who that was at the time
I can't
because now
either.
I can just picture the one that Scott used in his class last week. Um, oh, now I'm
But
spacing on the name of that one, but yeah,
was
she
that
did it all together. So
the
that was
why do I feel like there was, like, police on the first page? Like somebody
it.
died.
Was a story of a band who had kids, and that they went in out to play a gig and it got into an accident. And it
And
was
then
the
there was
kids growing up.
the foster situation and
Situation
then
split them up. I
yes, the
cannot for the
daughter
life of me
in
remember
the
the name of that though, but it was so good.
it was
Oh,
that was emotionally, like,
yep.
like, punch you
So many of those
so
stories in
hard.
that thing were just so laid out like that, where you get into that indie feel of like you don't expect a huge gut punch, but
Right.
then it just rips through you and
Or you
you're happy
expect
you've lived
one
it.
type of gut punch and then they get you with a different one.
Yep.
The dog,
CKs, yeah,
yes.
everyone. It stuck with everybody that read it the first time he
Yeah.
brought up the script, and yeah,
Yeah.
that.
That was the one that I was just like, that's sticking with me forever.
Yep, yep. Every time I look at my dog now, it's just like, oh, I won't leave you.
Yeah. So with the writing process of everything, are you trying to stick with certain genres? Are there genres that you prefer to write in? Or are you just trying to find that meaning and the impact and then take it to whatever genre works with it?
Yeah, being such inspired by gaming, it kind of touches on everything, but is this kind of pillar of each time he does it, it's something of its own, and I
Mhm.
kind of like that aspect. Where I probably will send a lot more sci-fi stuff in the future. I have a lot of those
Yeah.
stories that I really want to work in, but really, I just want to make something impactful each genre that I try to do. And so, starting with fantasy was just a great adventure start.
Yeah.
It kind of can go anywhere since that is the
Starting
beginning of
your
the series.
adventure with an adventure.
Exactly.
um, is there anything Neil Gaiman that like what's your favorite thing from Neil?
Uh,
I know that's just like
yeah.
asking your favorite pet, favorite
um,
child.
right now, I probably would say Art Matters, his nice little Chris Riddle book. Just a bunch
Okay.
of little single drawings and word, kind of almost like it feels like a spoken word album from Neil Gaiman with Chris Riddle illustrations. But
Okay.
it's great,
I
and
don't
it
know if
has
I've
just a lot
actually
of stuff
seen that.
about art. Yeah, I would definitely check that out. But Seasons of Mist, Sandman is
Yeah.
amazing. The retelling of Midsummer Night Dream and all the rest of that, gorgeous. That stuck
Was,
with me to this day.
was that like the single issue, like 18 or 19 or
I
something?
think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
A little
just
flashback too. Yeah.
finally read volume one, like the book one
Yep.
of Sandman, which is like 20 issues.
Yep. That's
I, I've been meaning to read it for so long, and it just
everybody
took
puts it
so.
off for kind of how big it is and how much everybody talks
Mhm.
about it. But I read it in a Borders in high school. Just me curled
Okay.
up in a graphic
Yeah.
novel,
Gosh, Borders.
and
That
it
takes
was
me
great.
back.
Yeah, and that took me away to crazy fantasies and built upon new levels of what fantasy could be. And in that
Yeah.
has just inspired so much of my work.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I've got a Sandman journey ahead of me. But
Yeah.
I read the first one because I bought it and I was like, this is going towards the front of the queue of reading because I need
Nice.
to.
Yep.
And then eventually got to it. My to be read pile is just insanely long.
Right
It's
now, I have a
a joke.
two read box, so yeah, I get that,
Oh,
but
it's
definitely,
shelves upon shelves upon shelves.
yep. But
Yeah.
all that early Vertigo stuff is definitely a nice kind of introduction to what comics can do and
Yeah.
are able to really accomplish,
And
even if you're not. Yeah,
that's where Fables also fit
yeah.
was, right?
Fables also started in Vertigo. A lot of stuff. Animal Man got a bigger jump off over there. Swamp Thing. It's
Yeah.
a lot of great stuff. I miss Vertigo so much, but
Yeah.
Black
Now we got
Label. Yeah.
DC Black Label, which is
Woo!
not the same. There was some stuff I was reading towards the end of like Vertigo's time that I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And then I missed picking up an issue somehow.
They
Um,
came back with the Sandman universe for a good while, and
yeah,
that was like the last things the Vertigo was their flag. It's like, okay, we got it. And the next thing I
yeah.
know, it's like, no, we're done.
There was. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like I want to say it was like High Level or something like that.
I do remember that. Yeah.
It was like towards the yeah. It is okay. That's what it was. High Level.
Yep.
That was like one of I started reading in like 2015 or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I remember
What is
that
this?
and Die coming out
20
around the same time.
Okay, this came out in 2019. Wow, interesting.
Oh,
But yeah, so I missed like a lot of the earlier stuff with Vertigo, with everything
yeah.
really. But so I'm slowly getting my way back into some of those things that you've read and inspired you to write. And but yeah, the indie side of things was probably I started getting into that like 2018, 2019, started picking up more things that were not
That is
just
a
Marvel and a little DC.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's indies where it's at though.
It
All the
really is. They don't have a lot of the hoops to jump through and can just cut you down as quick as they build you up. It's really great.
yeah, you can tell whatever story you want to tell. No limits really on this is going to affect this part of the universe. You can't touch that character. You can't tell that story.
No, we have this event coming up right now. You got to put this off and on hold, and yeah, all that
Right.
stuff. So
Make your own universe and create whatever rules you want to create.
that's the plan, at least right now.
Yeah. So you said Flag the Fly number one, of course, running right now. Number two, probably later this year once you get through fulfillment
Hopefully, the
and
beginning of
things
next year.
next
I'm
year.
trying to shoot for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other projects that you're working on right now, or are you just more focusing on Flag the Fly?
Just focusing on Flag to Fly. I've started my second draft of my own script for number two. I have everything plotted all the way out to six, but just kind of leaving stuff open to see if I get inspired by stuff goes that happening. I do a weird thing where every Tuesday I come up with new ideas, at least five of them. They are not
Okay.
great, but at least I get a couple of little gems out of there, and I'll start
Okay.
building those as I go, and just kind of think about them if they stick around long enough. And that's been great. And yeah, I have books that I am eager to get to. I just need to find the right artist or need the right pitch to get it going.
Yeah.
And more and more, I'm gonna just start rolling them out. So if I can, somebody starts believing in Flag to Fly, we'll start going even
Yeah.
harder. Yep.
Yeah, I guess that determines, if you get that extra money to be able to kind of start going for more projects at the same time. Kind of
Exactly.
give your artist a little time to catch up on the other project while you work on another one in between.
A huge
Um,
benefit. Yeah.
yeah,
Not just trying to go back to back to back and take all of their time. I know it's hard because they have
yeah,
other stuff, less intrusive things that take up more money, I imagine, that you
yeah.
could be getting.
Well, and they're. I mean, I know Lane's doing a lot of different projects right
A
now too.
lot.
Is
Yeah.
see that get posted about all the time.
Yep.
So that's always cool.
Me.
Like, more Lane art out there in the world
Definitely.
is a good thing.
Always.
One other thing that you brought up earlier, I was going to come back to was the importance of having a good editor on your team. So how did Aubrey make some, I guess, assistance and changes that brought the story to where it is now?
First and foremost, she asked me what I thought the themes and what I was shooting for, which in any editor is a huge jump forward because they don't just come in to say, "Oh, the market says this. You need to make it this way," and nobody wants to hear that about their story. Nobody wants to do things, but
Hmm.
she took it down to my level of, "Hey, what are you going for?" And in that was able to suggest, "Okay, well, this kind of stands out," or like Eleanor had a little bit of just downturn dialogue
Hmm.
on putting. So in that, she pointed that out. Like you have her as kind of the only female lead character, and she's not really adding anything. So in that, I tried to turn it around, make it a little bit more, and that helped a lot. She focused a little bit more on deep dialogue, which is a huge thing in so many indie books. If you've read any of them, a lot of people like to really lean into their story and make sure it's hammered home, but sometimes it's really not necessary. And a lot of times you're just repeating yourself and mashing your head into the wall. Where she cleaned up a lot of things and just told me, you kind of covered this. It's covered here. It's good. If you want to
Yeah,
hype it up, you can hype it up there. But this is, and that helped so much get cleaned up. I had extra panels that got tightened up. Everything just seemed to be working better. And definitely
yeah,
taking Shelley Bond's class helped me realize that an editor can do all those things and a lot more if they're teams and know who they're working with and everything else. Where I built the team for Aubrey and just kind of needed her to look over my, she still did that expertly, and I'm so thankful that she made the story shine for what it was trying to be, not what she thinks it needed to be.
right. I I always feel like editors don't get the highlight that they need, and so the fact that you brought up the impact earlier that Aubrey had on the story, I thought that
Definitely,
was
that's one
great.
thing we talked about earlier. That's why I made sure to put her name on the cover. Wanted people to know that the editor
Mhm.
does a lot, and we often overlook them or look at them as the corporate stooge or something, and it's not the case. A lot of them are artists in their own right, and they have a
Mhm.
really good art direction that they want to look for. And listening to
Yeah,
Shelley tell her stories is magic. And you're like, yeah, that would have been great. She worked on Fables. She worked on so many things that were Vertigo line and an inspiration to all of us now.
yeah, yeah. No, so every member of a team creating the comic is just so hugely important. And it's always good to see when creators recognize the rest of their team and
Definitely.
aren't just
I
like, "Yep,
appreciate that.
I
Yeah.
made this book."
No.
It's like, no, you wrote words that they've turned into magic.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is like, but the words are ever so important, but then
Definitely. I came
working
from music.
together.
My first art kind of delving in was doing punk rock bands and stuff like that. So
Okay.
collaboration was always key. I never thought that, oh yeah, my way was doing this was great. It's no, I have an idea. I'd like to show it to my drummer, and that gave it a beat, and that
Yeah.
built, and it kept going to it, even to the point of a producer who told us, drop this part of the opener and stuff like that. It's just, it's great
Yeah.
because it helps you connect with more people.
So if there was a punk rock song for A Flag to Fly, what are we looking at?
Man, I
Or
want to say
is A
something
Flag
by the
to Fly
Dropkick
not
Murphys,
not punk
but
enough?
yeah, that is the problem with this story.
I
We
know
definitely
it's
see it as like an '80s alt rock kind of thing, more than a punk rock
yeah,
straight from the '70s. But
it's fair.
definitely, if I had to, something by the Dropkick Murphys, get there.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. I
Yeah.
I feel like they're the ones that have shipping up to Boston, or am I mixing
Yeah.
them up with?
No.
Okay,
That's yep.
like that's honestly, once you said them, I kind of heard that in my head playing. I'm like, I hope that's the right one, because
Nice.
there's another band that's, I feel like I always mix up with them. I can't tell you who it is because I don't remember.
I mean, they're their own little
They are
Irish punk. So
right.
yeah.
I think it is something else that's like Irish punk or Irish rock or something, but I don't know. It's been a while since I've gotten to listen to them.
There's
Just
just so much out there of music in general.
yeah,
It's
and
always hard to remember exactly where I've heard
right.
things and came up with stuff.
And then Spotify's like, hey, here's the same music at you. Come,
Yeah.
we know you like this, so let's play it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, what about the other stuff I
I
listened
would
to?
like to be introduced to new things now. The
Right,
more I hit next, though, it's just going to play that playlist again.
right. Uh, let's throw this back up again just to remind anybody. Flag the Fly's got 18 days left on it over here.
Yep.
A
A little
little
more than
under
2 weeks.
halfway to the goal.
Yeah, getting really
So
good
let's make
considering the
it
days that we're
happen.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like we were saying earlier, the Kickstarter just scene is flooded with a lot of things, but even within that, there's something out there for everybody. So
Yeah,
you've got
that's it.
fantasy right here, and I've talked to some other creators that got projects going on right now. Not a lot within this genre, I feel like, going on right now.
Nice. Yeah.
Unless it's like, I don't know. I think there's been some like IPs and things like, didn't something Assassin's Creed just drop or something weird?
Ah, yeah. I've
Um,
seen a couple of things just wrap up that were a little fantasy based, but a
mhm.
lot of stuff I can't say I've seen. Just straight comedy, adventure, fantasy.
Yeah,
I think I'm there, but there's a lot of great YA stuff. There's a lot of great things out there.
yeah,
I've been
um,
trying to highlight enough of them every time I set up a message and update.
yeah,
They're always great people to find and other people to back.
yeah. But yeah, so something out there for everyone. Go check it out, because this might be the one for you.
Yeah.
Um, and anything with I feel like with Kickstarters, one thing that's also good is the fact that like you're a Kickstarter backer.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
you
Seeing
know
people
you
start ones
support.
with no back. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
always a
I've seen
bummer.
some. It's like first created, no backed,
Yep.
and then they don't fund, and then it's
Yeah.
like, that's why you didn't fund.
Right. You had no
Uh,
community behind you or what didn't actually
yeah.
like
Then
any of the
anytime
people you're trying to sell to.
yeah, and I've seen some people that like, they're like, well, I didn't use my personal one, and that's where I back everything, and I've got my studio or whatever is what created the
Yeah.
new thing, and it's like, but it looks bad.
Looks a little thin for sure. I was happy
Yeah,
to use my own personal and have that kind of record in
yeah,
that too.
and then
When
it'll be
people have backed others and the community in general, it's good.
yeah, and it shows what's going on with Kickstarter too. You've
Yeah.
you've seen
You
it.
know
You've
what
seen
people
other
are
people
looking for. You know
fulfill,
what they're
like,
expecting.
yeah, and then
It
like that
helps.
gets to like the risk part. It's always talked about on Kickstarters at the bottom.
Yep.
That yeah, you know the risks. You know what's going on. You've got the comic completed.
Exactly.
You just know that there could be delays in the shipping and printing process, because
Those happen
that's the
for
world
sure.
we live in right now.
Exactly.
We never know what's going to happen there.
Not trying to promise anything that's not doable, and those are definitely promises that are just up in the air. You can't
Yeah.
you can't make those.
These are the things I cannot control. I can
Exactly.
control this amazing story and the fact that it's done. Everything else is
Ready for your eyes, ready to go for
the
sure.
chaos of the world.
That's not my doing. I can't
Yeah.
I can't take control of that.
Entropy.
Yeah.
It's a scientific thing. We can't control it. Uh, where can people follow you and see what's going on with a Flag to Fly and other things that you're working on? I,
It's just
I think it froze.
um, There. Hello.
Oh,
I'm back.
I think you're back.
All right. So the main one that I have is Instagram, flag to fly, all one word. A flag, just the TO fly. And then Solis stories on Twitter and Solis comics on Instagram is my personal ones. Um, in that I have link trees that link to all the Kickstarter and or where you can preview the comics. I have a 5-page preview, 2 pages more than that's on the Kickstarter. Those are the two main ones, and then the flag to fly Instagram is probably the best one to keep up going on with the campaign.
Yeah, I have the link tree. I just dropped it in the chat, but I have it linked down below. I think I have your Instagram and your Twitter down below. I don't think I have the flag to fly Instagram down below.
Oh, good. But yeah, that link tree
But
has
it,
both of them anyway, so that's good.
yep, that'll take you to it. So
Definitely.
go check that out.
Heck yeah.
Because that's where you'll find out up to date information. Find out when you're working on the next issue. What else you got work going on?
Yep. That link
Um,
tree has my website also with a lot of the
mhm.
backstory stuff, anything that you're missing from my first attempt at comic books, and the Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 1 story that's there.
Yeah, and you've got volume 2 coming up. Is that end of April launch?
I want to say May, yeah.
Okay.
May, I think, is the launch of the Kickstarter, and then probably June will be the wrap.
Yeah. But I also, yeah, the Global Comics link is in that link tree. It'll take you over to
Awesome.
the preview. Check that out. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's just a fun time. Um, with I don't know if you got to go to the comic shop today, but did you get anything?
I did not go to the comic shop today, but I am looking forward to Know Your Station, the final
Yes.
issue of that one. That one has been great. Um,
I just read that right before
nice. Yeah,
it's
exactly what I need to go pick up.
solid ending.
Nice. I can't wait for that.
And then this ended today too, 8 billion
Oh
units.
man, I've been waiting to actually get that in a trade, but
So
I've heard nothing but great things. So
soon-ish.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
do a power bomb when that came out in trade. I have all the issues of that, and that was beautiful to get in a trade too. So I'm
I
not
need
afraid.
to yeah, I need to pick that trade
That
up
is
because
well worth it. Coming
I
from backyard wrestling days in my youth,
it's
Powerbomb is an amazing story.
yeah. I've got a stack to read
All right,
today.
yeah, you got some
Yeah,
stuff to go through. It's
this
fine.
is today's.
Yeah.
Plus those 2 that were over there. Yeah, it was a painful week. But several things are ending
Yeah.
now, and that should make the coming weeks lighter.
You say that until the next previews comes and you see a couple more things and you're like, oh, I can
I know.
start
I just
that.
I just looked through the catalog today, so
Hmm. It'll get
we'll
you.
see. We'll
It's
see.
always great though. More comics.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good things out there. Direct market, Kickstarter, lots of
Yeah.
good stories to read and check out. Um, but yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. This
Great
is
time
great.
talking with you.
Yeah, it's been real fun. Hopefully I get to come back for issue 2 or
Yeah,
one of those.
something. I mean, hey, if you throw another project in there, you always come back in between.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, and thanks for anyone watching live right now or catching
Yeah.
us on the rewind. Appreciate it. Go check out A Flag to Fly over on Kickstarter right now. It's got 18 days left and just under halfway to funding. So let's get it up to that
Yep.
halfway mark by tomorrow. Let's do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, everybody, and
Thank
have a nice night. If I can hit the right button.
you.
There we go.